Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 5 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Mount Prospect. I'm your host, Jack Ankeny, and Coach Camardella is back to review their past games against Buffalo Grove and Stevenson. So, Coach, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
All right, so against BG, what do you think the team did to overcome kind of poor shooting in the first half and then also being without Jalen for a lot of the first half?
Yeah, we had to adapt to some unfortunate situations early. You know, we were getting good looks. Yeah. We were short on a lot of them. And then with Jalen going out in that first quarter with the eye injury, you know, we were all of a sudden playing with a little bit different lineups. But I really credit our seniors and some of the guys off the bench for staying the course. You know, they never panicked. They understood that we were getting good looks. And I was really proud of the fact that we kept BG to 25. You know, that we forced them into really difficult shots, and they hit quite a few of them in that first half. But to keep them right around 25, we definitely didn't have the offensive output we were looking to have. But halftime adjustments and, you know, the second half has sort of been what we've been really good at thus far, and it turned out that way. I was proud of them.
Okay. What kind of toughness do you think the team showed being able to handle their two bigs, Camardo and Treve, and kind of limit them, I think, more in the second half compared to the first?
Yeah, I think the biggest key is knowing how to attack. You can't always just, you know, go at certain players or go at certain teams one way. Yeah. I think you have to have a myriad of approaches. And, you know, we tried certain things defensively. We tried certain things offensively. You know, if you were at the game or you watched the game, some things worked, some things didn't work. And I think the biggest key is for our players and our staff to be on the same page so that we can communicate on the floor, off the floor to give us the best chance of attacking and guarding those players. And I thought the second half we really did that well.
Okay. What kind of adjustments do you think you had to make on the fly, and how, like, impressive was that for your team, do you think, to make those adjustments quickly?
I think defensively, the angles and the closeouts that we adjusted at halftime into the second half. Treve was getting to the basket, had a couple of really, really tough shots. Vasilani is an incredibly talented guard, hitting tough shots in the lane. And I thought in the second half, like I said last week, you're never going to stop players like that, but you can try to contain them. And offensively, we were fine. Like I said, we didn't have a high amount of turnovers. We were getting great looks. And, you know, to come out in the third quarter and to go 5 for 6 from three. Yeah. And I think stats had us hitting 15 and 19 shots to start the second half. I mean, we were getting those same shots in the first half, and that's the biggest key to our team is that these guys don't doubt themselves. They trust and they keep playing.
Yeah, so like you said, in the second half, you guys came out shooting much better. I know you've said before, like, your motto is kind of hot or about to get hot. Was that something that you told them at halftime, or how did that conversation go?
They'd probably get tired of hearing it. But I want to make sure that it's really cemented in their brain and in their thought process, because in a game like basketball, you know, I use the analogy a lot that in football you got downs, in volleyball you got serves, in baseball and softball you got different pitches. Yeah. In a lot of sports you have downtime. You know, basketball's one of the greatest sports in the sense that if you stop and aren't prepared to move on to the next play, you're going to lose, right? You'll lose possessions, you'll lose quarters, you'll lose games. And so part of training our guys is that if they're short, if they're missing, you know, if a guy's getting by them, if they're not hot, if they're not doing what they want to do, then they have to think that they're about to be that way. That's the only way we know how to play.
All right. So what does a win like that mean for the team going forward in the MSL race?
It's the next one. I mean, that was a big one. Yeah. I mean, everybody says, and you'll hear a lot of coaches say every game's important, and it's true. You know, that was a big one. You know, Buffalo Grove is one of the top teams in the MSL. They return a ton of talent. Our guys know that. But we're equally as confident in our ability as a team and individually. And so for us to win on the road this early in the season, that was a big win for our guys.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Coach Camardella. And next up will be an interview with senior Johnny Cisłowski.
Welcome back, everybody, to Prospect Basketball Weekly, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with senior Johnny Cisłowski. Johnny, thank you for joining us this
Thanks for having me.
Playing the three position, how do you try to be a versatile player for the team?
Playing the three, I have to be a more dynamic player on offense and defense. You know, given my length and height, I can guard 2 through 5, I believe, and on offense, I do whatever the team needs me to do to crash the boards or hit some threes or whatever they need me to do.
Against Buffalo Grove, what was the biggest difference in the second half that allowed you guys to pull away from them?
Well, we came out shooting better, obviously, and I think we played better defensively, which led to the offense. You know, we got a good pace going, and I think that's really what carried it.
What does a road win at Buffalo Grove mean for the team going forward?
It meant a lot, not only going through our East season, but for the rest of the season, giving us confidence that we know we can play with an experienced team like that, and I think that they gave us a lot of motivation for the rest of the for the rest of the season.
This week against Rolling Meadows, what will the team need to do to extend your 7-game win streak?
Well, it starts on the defensive end, obviously, and then we're gonna have to execute offensively. They play a zone, so we're gonna have to be patient with the ball and move it around a little bit, see what looks we get, and play off each other.
Heading into the winter break, how do you think your team has developed since the start of the year at the St. Viator tournament?
Well, that St. Viator game, when we were sitting in that room, we really looked at each other, and we had to figure out what we needed to do to get better from that. And I think that we just learned to play off each other more, and we're starting to develop more of a team chemistry. Playing with each other a little more. We weren't familiar with each other the first couple of games, and I think now we're more familiar with each other, and I think that's resulting in better play.
Thank you, Johnny, and stay tuned for a special interview with freshman coach TJ Garms. Welcome back, everybody, to Week 5 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with freshman coach TJ Garms. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
As a coach of the freshman B team, what kind of attitude or playing style are you trying to instill in this team?
Really, we just try to get the guys to share the ball. I mean, that's the best thing that we can hope for. The more that they're moving the ball, the more we can get the defense to move, the more success our guys are going to have. And we really just try to tell them to take the most advantage of the opportunities they get, and when they're out there, to look for their teammates, and everything else will take care of itself.
What do you do to try to prepare them for varsity basketball?
It really comes down to two things for us. We're, especially at the beginning of the year, trying to break a lot of bad habits. We try to teach our guys that things that maybe worked for them in middle school and made them successful in middle school, not so much in high school. And so try to break those bad habits. And then secondly, we're trying to teach instincts. We rep a lot of the same stuff over and over again, so that eventually, when they get out there, they don't have to think so much, and they can just react to the play as it happens, and that those instincts come the longer we're playing, and that's what we're really working on in practice.
How have you seen the freshman team develop throughout the year?
Well, so far, I mean, especially for my guys, we haven't played that much, but those instincts are starting to show. We can tell that guys out on the court don't need to think so much. They don't catch the ball and they're like, all right, I'm supposed to look here, I'm supposed to look here. No, they're starting to just react to the play as it happens. They're not thinking about plays, and that's a huge step for us. And going into winter break here, we know that this is a time where a lot of our kids make a big jump, especially for our B guys. They don't play again until January now. So it's a lot of practice, and it's a good time for them to make a jump in there.
Heading into the winter break, what is your main message to the team looking at the games ahead of you?
Just that, we haven't played much yet, and a whole lot of their season takes place towards the end of January and the beginning of February. There are going to be some weeks where we have several games in 1 week, and it might feel like the whole season comes down to 2 or 3 weeks, and that's big for them to make the most of the practice time now and be ready for all those games that are coming.
How do you and Coach McCullough work together to improve the skills of players throughout the freshman level?
We do a lot of just breaking up into different groups. It's not always an A and B breakup. Sometimes it is, right? When we need to work on team-specific stuff, we split into our A and our B team. But a lot of times we break stuff up by position, or we break stuff up by skill level. And it really allows us to address different needs for different kids. And by splitting up like that, it's pretty successful for us. We've had a lot of fun together.
Thank you, Coach, and stay tuned for a special preview of this week's game against Rolling Meadows with head coach John Camardella.
Welcome back, everyone, to Week 5 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. Coach Camardella is back to preview this Thursday's game against Rolling Meadows. So, Coach, Rolling Meadows starts a freshman at point guard. So, what do you think the team will need to do to exploit his lack of varsity experience this Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he has lack of varsity experience, but if you read the box scores, you read the paper, he's been having a really great start to his high school career. And so it is. It's putting you do your best on defense to put people in positions they're uncomfortable in.
Yeah.
I think most defenses would say you try and take guys out of rhythm, make sure that they're not feeling comfortable, especially when you're hosting a game, when you're at home and the other team's on the road. And so it is. It's about limiting opportunities. So you look at where guys are getting shots and where they want to attack, and then you try and steer them away from those positions.
Okay. So after going up against a talented guard last week in Vaseline, what similarities or differences do you see, like in terms of how you guys are going to guard him, how you guys are going to play against him, anything like that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing with moving from that last week to this week is, Rathi constantly is changing defensive assignments. In terms of running different guys at them individually, but also for double teams. We do employ a 1-3-1 at times. People know we play that. We've got traps as well as our half-court man-to-man. So it's keeping teams guessing, keeping them off balance, and I would assume much of the same type game plan that Rathi will put together for Thursday night.
Okay. So Thursday's game being the Silent Night theme for you guys, what kind of effect do you think that has kind of on the energy in the building?
To start, it's hard. It's. I know obviously it's a night that's great for fans. I know the Underground plans it and loves it. For us, we just got to play through. We got to focus. It's everybody knows it's an awkward beginning because everything's so quiet. So it is. It's just keep making sure our guys stay loose. They know it. They've been part of it either in the stands when they were younger or now as players. And overall, it's a great night for the community. And we just hope that we get off to a fairly normal start so we can get the crowd into the game as soon as possible.
All right. So after two big wins over some tough teams, BG and Stevenson, what do you think your main message to the team is to kind of avoid a letdown this week against Sterling Meadows?
It's a serious one. It started yesterday. I thought yesterday's practice was high energy. We got back to a lot of things that we do well and really focusing in. Today we'll focus more on Meadows, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll get ready to play on a short week with the game here on Thursday. But I think all of our guys understand that we have vision of where we want to go and where we want to be, but they can't get there before they take the next step. And that's sort of been the mantra of the team all year. And at no point have we had a letdown to the point where we think our guys are looking past where they need to look. And it would be easy right now because you got the hardwood coming up. You got Christmas break coming up. There's a lot of guys dealing with multiple things with final exams. So it's really trying to address what's right in front of you, prioritizing what you need, and the next two practices we'll make sure that we feel very confident about what we're going to do in attacking Meadows and their zone as well as defending them.
Okay, so you said against VG that you think that the team has yet to play a full 32 minutes. So what do you think that it will take to achieve that against Meadows?
Well, I think that this team especially, we said we've been working on our identity. I think our pressure defense, both in the full court and in the half court, has really sort of been what has carried us in these games. We're scoring right around 60 points a game, right around average. And I think the margin of victory that we've been able to have in the last few games is a testament to the defense. You'll see I'm calling less sets because we're getting so much offense off of turnovers and transition that it allows us to really focus in on pressure defense and rotation angles. And that's a credit to our guys because the more offense we can get off our defense, the better I think we'll be overall.
All right. So now heading into Christmas break and the Wheeling tournament, how do you think you've seen the team develop throughout the 7-game win streak after starting the year 0-2?
Yeah, and both teams that we lost to are outstanding programs, and they've got really, really good teams this year. But as I tell our guys, that's why we play those games. To go up against an Evanston, followed up the very next day with Viator, both of whom are in the top 20. I would just tell our guys that they took those lessons, right? A loss isn't always a loss, right? It's a lesson. And so for them, I would credit them with having the maturity to realize that you take what happened and you learn from it. And this team in particular has taken both losses and wins and learned from them. And you can't always say that about a team, is that they're always looking for what did we do well, what do we need to get better at. And I think anybody who's watched a bunch of our games has seen that this team has gotten better almost each game that we've played.
Okay. So now in the Wheeling tournament, your guys' first matchup is against Maine West, whose similar opponent is BG with you guys. So what are your kind of initial thoughts on that game? Like, not to look too far ahead.
No, for sure. They're a very experienced team. We have a prospect alum who's the assistant varsity coach, Trent Greco, and that'll make it a lot of fun, sort of from the prospect coaching tree now, to see him over there. We're really proud of him and the job he's doing. And so it's a matter of they've got a 1,000-point scoring point guard. They're playing really well. They beat Buffalo Grove at Buffalo Grove earlier this year, and another common opponent was Highland Park. So we've seen a couple of their games on film, and we'll get to work on that as soon as Thursday's done.
Yeah. All right. So again, I guess not to look too far ahead, but a pretty talented Notre Dame team would be waiting for you guys in the second round should you guys both win. So I guess looking at the tournament as a whole and in that game, what do you think it'll take for the team to withstand a bunch of games in a short amount of time and kind of be as successful as possible?
Yeah, the hardwood is a gauntlet for all 16 teams that are there. And almost every Christmas tournament that's in the area, you got to face that. 4 games in 4 days is quite a lot. It's taxing on the body, on the mind, on the staffs. It's on everybody. With the scouting reports. So what we always tell our guys is you really have to focus in on who we are. We can look for minor adjustments and minor, scouts for the teams that we play. Notre Dame has to face a very good Geneva team in that first round, and so I think our little quadrant between us, Maine West, Notre Dame, and Geneva. I mean, that's a pretty formidable 4 teams to get out of that and try and get to the Final Four. So we'll see. I'm really looking forward to watching that Geneva Notre Dame game. But obviously, focuses on Meadows and then Maine West.
All right. Thank you, Coach Camardella. So that should do it for Week 5 of Prospect Basketball Weekly. We'll see you all next week.